kind of astounding. And they almost seem grown up as well, like they seem like women rather than anorexic androgynes, and yeah, they seem so fucking cheerful. Yeah, it was sort of being thrown in at the deep end for me. It was a wonderful moment. I remember backstage. I'd never been backstage at a fashion show before, and I was trying to be, terribly polite, which was a huge mistake. So nobody else was being polite. And I remember there was a moment, and I just thought, I can't believe this. And I was looking through it, and it was Kate Moss, basically naked, with a nose ring, blowing smoke rings through her nose ring. There is a God. And then, well, there would be a God if you remembered to turn the camera on rather than just being mesmerized by Kate Moss blowing smoke rings. I had the one thing, the trouble with video, you see it, you kind of think this is great, and you go, oh no, that's the button that we want. No, I didn't get it. So, okay, any questions? No.
Well, I think you started the whole internet. Well, first Diane Renee, she was ahead of her time with fashion film. But I think you certainly started the whole sort of, getting people aware with that Kate Moss film. Because I remember everyone was like, what's going on? Blah, 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 with that Kate Moss film. So bravo to you.
Thank you.
It was fabulous to see that fashion film. I just wish people would, we need more of that. So thank you. That was
Good.
just
Thank you.
brilliant.
I mean, I was wondering, you're all kind of fashion people, how interesting it was to, the sort of archive aspect of it too. Because I say I hadn't seen it for a long time. Now a couple of times I went, wow, that's really beautiful. What a beautiful jacket,
My question actually would be, what made you think of the internet? Because so many people at that particular time, it's not that long ago, were very sort of dismissive of what the internet could do. So how what made you, and how did you manage to persuade?
Well, as a filmmaker, which is sort of what my kind of recognized day job is, in the last 10 years, basically, the point where I got so pissed off with the Hollywood system and the budgets, like anyone, I quite like to spend money on an image and so on, but what comes with it is just not worth it. The deal is not worth it. You don't actually end up with what you want, and everyone's unhappy and so on. The money thing just corrupts. And not from a Marxist point of view, just actually from a practical point of view. So I started to look at alternative ways of shooting. So first of all, switch from 35 to 16. So leaving Las Vegas was shot on 16. And it looks beautiful, And then a kind of internal dialogue about image quality, which is interesting right now. A lot of fashion photographers are now shooting on the red because the quality is now high enough, and of course it's really lazy photography because you're getting 25 shots a second. So, if you can't get a fucking shot, in a 3-minute sequence, you are pathetic, and the model will move around, and you're going to get a shot, It's cheating, and it's not a good way to get an image. But at the same time, and that's where this corruption comes in. I started to look at low end. So it's like, I was just more interested in, okay, what's out there that's cheap, that actually ends up giving you an image. And then as part of that, the aesthetic of the image to me is like, it shouldn't look like the real thing to me. To me, an image, if you look at painting, Impressionism is maybe more interesting than photorealism. Why the let's say, quasi-realistic painters that we really worship, they're not super realists, they are impressionists. And yet in cinema, because of capitalistic technology tendencies, we lurch towards perfection. What did you shoot it on? Was it medium format? Was it high format? Was it was it a 23-inch? It's like, who gives a fuck, You go to any store and buy a camera. If you've got half a brain, you can take a good photograph. You know something about light. So I started to think, okay, these cameras started coming out, and I started trying them. And then I shot a film in Venice called Hotel, very low budget, and shot a whole sequence in that in the dark with the night vision camera on a Panasonic. Not, like let's say semi-pro, but not super pro, not the red, not that kind of thing. And the image quality is just gorgeous. Plus you're in the dark with an actor, and you have a completely different psychology. Kate was not, she's very shy. She doesn't want to do movies. She's resisted. I mean, she wants to have a million offers, right? And so I knew her, and I said, we had a meeting, and I said, listen, actually just be you and me and maybe one other person, and it's no big deal. And actually, there won't be any lights on either. And it'll look great. It's great on skin tone, you know, and all that sort of stuff. So, in answer to your question, just a sort of marriage between the technology that's available at the low end and the freedom that that gives you, and the freedom that that then gives you with the actors, the models, whatever we call them, you know. So then the internet was a logical extension of that, you know. So if you're not shooting on high definition, then the internet's not a problem, because it is low definition. And actually, I've become addicted, like pretty much everybody else, to YouTube. And I've seen some amazing images on YouTube. You know, I'm doing a kind of project now where most of the stuff I'm gathering is shot on phones or whatever, you know, and I'll put 4 or 5 images on screen at the same time. If the image is strong, and if the storyline really pushes through, then you really don't care. You know, if something drastic happens in the world and somebody shot it on a mobile phone, you don't hear people kind of go, oh, the quality of that image of that plane crash, did you see that? It was kind of blurry. It's like out of focus at one point, you know. I couldn't watch it. Just couldn't watch it because no one gives a fuck. And we've moved into this new sphere of don't give a fuck. Yet the fashion industry, which is based on money, film industry, which is based on profit and money, continues to kind of subscribe to the idea of you've got to spend a lot of money on the equipment. Otherwise, we're going to look really fucking dumb if you've got just like a little plastic camera. You're not going to look pro, man. You know, so you've got to get a big camera, and you've got to get at least 5 people around it who look like they know that they're doing brain surgery, which is the thing I absolutely hate about the film business. You know, I mean, I want to just be there with the actor. I don't want those motherfuckers in the way, you know. So it's a little bit soft, you know, the light or this, you know. So the internet seemed to be like the the absolutely obvious first cousin of low-end camera work. You know. We've got time. If anybody wants, yeah.
I just wonder what gave you the idea to change your voice pitch, and why when you did that?
Kate said, "I really don't like my voice." And people are very, you know. Playing with sound to me is like more than 50% of the film anyway. So as we saw with some of the films yesterday, you know, and post-production, things you can do on sound so easily now. And so I wanted to play with, she was talking about it's like being 2 characters. So one character has a much deeper, more kind of powerful voice, and then Kate has her own voice. And therefore the 2 characters seem to be kind of delineated in sound in that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about sound, the Vivian Westwood video, the audience sound,
Yeah.
was that actually from the shows? Or?
Well, 2 things. One is Vito actually went up to sort of like, it should be very, very loud, the sound on that, because she's, you know, Vivian's really into big sound, classical sound, you know. And again, that was a shock when, you know, you're so used to hearing doof, 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 and it's kind of robotic, and to hear this heavy romanticism, it should be much louder. So I recorded the real sound, and of course then discovered that Vivian had absolutely not any copyright authorization for any of the tracks she'd used, which of course were married to the sound, amazing sound of paparazzi and everyone screaming. It was incredibly noisy, and the photographers were going nuts and shouting, Barcelona. What the fuck does that, does anybody know what Barcelona means? They kept shouting Barcelona, I thought it's obviously a code. Anyway, so I did this lovely edit, you know, of all the natural sound, which I prefer, and then made a few phone calls and went, absolutely not. She'd chosen Herbert von Karajan and the Berliner Philharmonic for about 4 of the tracks. The Berliner do not give rights to anybody. It was a non-contest, you know, so we had to get alternative versions, and then I had to do a post-production session with a bunch of people shouting Barcelona, basically. You know? So it's my one regret, because I love the married sound to the track.
First off, that was brilliant. So much for that. My question is, do you think there's anything in particular about the Vivian Westwood show that made the film what it was, or something in her work that you're drawn to, or could have it been another designer, another show?
I'm sure. I mean, I was aware of Vivian and of what she was doing, and that it was, you know, at that kind of her peak, I think, at that that time. And Romany, my daughter, sort of said, "You've got to check it out. She's doing these outrageous bombs and the bustiers and the whole thing." I really think it's kind of an important show. And she's really excited about it. So, I mean, what did I know? I mean, and since then I've seen a lot more fashion, being kind of underwhelmed by a lot of it. I saw Boudica's show, was blown away by that. So sometimes I love fashion. I really continue to look for beauty, in the fashion world. And like everything else culturally right now, also see a lot of crap and a lot of abusive imagery and so on. Again, just money problems. So I'm sure at that time, if I knew a little bit more about fashion, somebody would say, well, this was happening. I also worked with Billy Forsyth in Frankfurt Ballet, and they were working a lot with designers, so that was being incorporated into dance and movement, and obviously the way they moved also I found very beautiful, But actually, because Vivian had a theatrical concept by that use of music, and I know as a filmmaker that the minute you put a certain type of music very loud, someone's going to move in a different way. The minute you use either techno or something like that, you're going to get a dead response. I am dead, I am walking, I am just a kind of robot. And, that's pretty prevalent right now. And then they try and use a bit of kind of faux romanticism. But this is like just fully blown, unashamed, 19th century romantic music. So it did really affect the way they were walking, and smiling. You want? Good. Thank you.